Over the past 2 years, the American housing market has undergone one of the most dramatic reversals in modern history. Sellers who once rejected offers left and right, who sat back smugly while bidding wars erupted in their living rooms, are now stuck, frozen in place, watching their dreams of easy profit dissolve before their eyes. The market that made everyone believe they were sitting on a gold mine has turned cold, and in certain cities across the country, desperation is no longer whispered. It's practically screaming from every for-sale sign that refuses to come down. Homes that used to disappear in days are rotting on listing sites for months. Price cuts have become routine. Open houses sit empty. And sellers are learning a brutal lesson. Gravity always wins. What we're witnessing in 2025 isn't a minor correction. It's a full-scale unraveling in select metros where overconfidence, bad timing, and economic reality collided. Developers overbuilt, investors overleveraged. Homeowners held out for prices the market couldn't support. And now, in 10 cities across America, sellers are practically begging buyers to take these properties off their hands. Hit that subscribe button right now because we're breaking down the 10 U.S. cities where home sellers are absolutely desperate in 2025. Stick with us to number 1 because what's happening there could signal where the entire national market is headed next. Number 10. Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte rode high for years, celebrated as one of the South's great success stories. Banking giants anchored the economy. Corporate relocations kept flooding in. And the promise of affordable living compared to pricier metros made it a magnet for young families and remote workers looking to stretch their dollars. Builders responded with enthusiasm, erecting subdivisions across Mecklenburg County and beyond at a pace that seemed unstoppable. New developments popped up in every direction. South toward Fort Mill, north into Huntersville, east past Matthews. For a while, it all made sense. But by 2025, that momentum has evaporated. Homes are sitting for 90 days or more, nearly double what it was 2 years ago. Sellers who listed at $450,000 are now staring at reductions toward $390,000. The issue isn't that Charlotte stopped being desirable. Supply finally surged past what the city could absorb. Interest rates have made affordability a nightmare. First-time buyers have stepped back, priced out, or waiting for panic to push prices lower. Sellers are caught in the squeeze. Many purchased during the frenzy, locking in prices that no longer align with reality. Those who need to move are choosing between taking a loss or sitting tight. But the longer homes linger, the more desperate the cuts become. Real estate agents will tell you off the record that some sellers are near tears, grappling with equity that's simply vanished. Investors are bleeding cash on holding costs. Spec-built homes sit empty. Even neighborhoods closer to uptown are feeling the chill. Charlotte's story is a cautionary tale about timing. The city grew too fast, and now it's paying for optimism that outpaced reality. Number 9. Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville became the darling of American migration over the last decade, and for good reason. It had everything people were searching for. No state income tax, a booming music and healthcare scene, southern charm without the isolation, and a cost of living that felt refreshingly reasonable compared to coastal cities. Transplants arrived in waves, and the housing market responded with dizzying speed. Prices doubled in some neighborhoods. But 2025 has been a harsh wake-up call. Inventory has exploded. Homes expected to move in 2 weeks are sitting for 60, 70, even 90 days. Price cuts are so common, buyers expect them. What went wrong? Interest rates killed momentum, but Nashville has its own unique mess. Developers went all in on luxury housing, convinced high earners would keep flooding in forever. They didn't account for remote workers whose companies have since tightened budgets or mandated office returns. The pipeline of affluent buyers has slowed to a trickle, and local wages have never been high enough to support the price points developers chased. There's now a glaring mismatch. Plenty of $600,000 new builds sit vacant while families making $80,000 are priced out. Sellers who bought in 2021 or 2022 are trapped. Equity hasn't grown as anticipated, sometimes it's shrunk. Appraisals come in under list price, killing deals. Many now compete with builders offering rate buydowns and closing cost assistance. Resale homes can't compete unless prices are slashed aggressively. Short-term rental owners are quietly exiting. Regulations tightened, occupancy fell, and those homes flood the market. Even neighborhoods like the Nations and 12 South are feeling the slowdown. The city has charm, but the housing market is now a sobering reminder that even the hottest cities can cool off fast. Number 8. Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. The Research Triangle was supposed to be bulletproof, anchored by world-class universities, a thriving biotech sector, and a steady stream of corporate relocations. Raleigh-Durham spent years being praised as one of the smartest bets in American real estate. It had stability, job growth, and a reputation for being immune to the kind of volatility that rattled other metros. Developers took that reputation seriously, pouring billions into new housing developments across Wake County, Durham County, and into the surrounding suburbs. For a long stretch, it worked beautifully. But 2025 has shattered that invincibility. Sellers face stagnation. Homes sit far longer than expected. Price reductions are routine. The problem isn't that Raleigh-Durham stopped attracting people. Housing supply expanded faster than demand could keep pace. Interest rates sapped purchasing power. Sellers compete with builders offering aggressive incentives. Homes in Cary, Apex, and North Raleigh take twice as long to sell. Properties that would have sparked multiple offers now sit with minimal showings. For homeowners needing to relocate, it's agonizing. They can't afford 2 mortgages, but can't drop prices without losing equity. Real estate agents say seller frustration is at an all-time high. Open houses that drew crowds now see a handful who aren't serious. Staging costs and mortgage payments wear people down. Some pull listings altogether, deciding to wait. But that only works if you can afford it. Investors feel the pain, too. Flips drag on. Rentals don't generate projected returns. Raleigh-Durham was supposed to be the safe play. But in 2025, even the safest bets prove no market is immune. Number 7. Salt Lake City, Utah. Salt Lake City spent the better part of a decade being described as America's next big thing. Outdoor recreation, tech job growth, a young and educated population, and mountain views that rivaled anything Colorado could offer. The city had momentum, and housing prices reflected that. From 2015 through 2022, values skyrocketed, transforming modest bungalows into 6-figure gold mines and pushing new construction into every available corner of the valley. Sellers grew accustomed to easy wins. Homes listed on Friday, offers by Monday, closings within weeks. It felt effortless, and the belief took hold that Salt Lake's housing market was simply built different. But 2025 has shattered that illusion. Homes sit for months. Price cuts are so frequent buyers expect them before scheduling showings. Sellers who enjoyed competing bids now deal with demoralizing silence. What happened? Affordability collapsed. Wages never kept pace with appreciation. The buyers who could afford homes were primarily out-of-state transplants, and that pipeline slowed dramatically. Remote work policies tightened. The wave of Californians discovered Salt Lake wasn't as cheap as thought. Meanwhile, supply ballooned. Developers kept building, flooding the market. Communities in Harriman, Draper, and Saratoga Springs are filled with spec homes sitting vacant. Even established neighborhoods struggle. Homes in Sugar House and the Avenues linger with minimal interest. Sellers watch listing views drop weekly. Many bought at the peak, believing appreciation was infinite. Now they're underwater or close to it. Real estate agents walk a tightrope managing expectations. Some sellers refuse to drop prices. Others slash aggressively, desperate to escape. Neither works well. Buyers have become ruthlessly selective, empowered knowing time is on their side. Investors are bleeding out too. Fix and flip projects take twice as long to sell. Rentals aren't cash flowing. Salt Lake's collapse is especially painful because it was so unexpected. But even organic growth can turn speculative when prices run too far, too fast. Number 6. Denver, Colorado. Denver has always carried an air of resilience, a city that balanced outdoor lifestyle with economic strength, a place where people moved not just for jobs, but for quality of life. That combination made it a darling of the housing market for years. Prices climbed steadily, inventory stayed tight, and sellers enjoyed the kind of leverage that made real estate feel like free money. But 2025 has brought harsh reversal. Homes sit unsold for months. Price reductions have become given. Interest rates crushed affordability as Denver's job market showed cracks. Tech layoffs hit hard. The steady inflow of high-income transplants has slowed. Without new buyers, the market tipped into oversupply. Builders finishing projects now add thousands of homes where demand has stalled. Existing home sellers compete with builders offering new construction, warranties, and incentives. Neighborhoods like Highlands, Park Hill, and Wash Park see homes sit with minimal interest. Properties that would have drawn bidding wars now get maybe one offer, well below asking. Sellers remember what neighbors' houses sold for in 2021 and can't reconcile why theirs isn't getting attention. But the market doesn't care about comparisons. It only cares what buyers will pay right now, and buyers won't overpay. Many homeowners bought or refinanced during the peak. Now they're trapped. Selling means taking a loss or barely breaking even. Staying means continuing to pay a mortgage that feels heavier as values slide. Open houses that overflowed with buyers now see a handful. Most just curious. Investors are retreating. Flippers find margins have disappeared. Rental owners deal with rising vacancy. Even Denver's natural beauty isn't enough to prop up a market that expanded beyond its means. Sellers realize desirability alone doesn't create buyers. Affordability does. Affordability. And in 2025, Denver is anything but affordable. Number 5. Tampa, Florida. Tampa was the Sunbelt superstar that seemed destined to keep rising forever. With beaches nearby, no state income tax, a surging job market, and an influx of Northeasterners fleeing cold winters and high costs, the Tampa Bay area became one of the hottest real estate markets in the country. Prices doubled in some neighborhoods. Builders couldn't keep up with demand. And sellers enjoyed the kind of frenzy that felt almost surreal. Homes listed and sold within days, often for tens of thousands over asking. It was chaos, but the profitable kind. Fast forward to 2025, and energy has completely reversed. Homes sit for months. Price cuts are standard. What killed Tampa's momentum? Factors that landed at once. First, insurance costs exploded. Florida's property insurance crisis made owning here a financial nightmare. Premiums that cost $2,000 yearly are now $8,000, $10,000, even higher. That scared off countless buyers. Second, the speculative frenzy was exactly that, speculation. When appreciation stalled, investors started dumping inventory. Third, migration has slowed. Remote workers are being called back or realizing Florida's heat, hurricanes, and rising costs aren't worth it. The dream of affordable paradise replaced by reality of expensive, high-risk living. Sellers from downtown condos to suburban homes feel the squeeze. Homes worth $450,000 at peak are listed at $410,000 and still not moving. Buyers are cautious and empowered. They know sellers are desperate and use that leverage. Real estate agents navigate an increasingly hostile environment. Sellers are frustrated, confused, financially stuck. They can't afford to lower prices without losing equity, but can't afford to keep paying mortgages on homes that won't sell. Investors who bought rentals are hurting. Short-term rental income dropped. Long-term rental demand cooled. Rental properties convert back to traditional sales, adding more inventory to a saturated market. New construction still finishing, but builders are slowing fast. Spec homes sit empty. Tampa became a cautionary tale of what happens when speculation, environmental risk, and economic reality collide. Number 4. Boise, Idaho. Boise's rise was nothing short of meteoric, and its fall has been equally dramatic. During the pandemic, this quiet mountain city became the poster child of the remote work revolution. Californians, Seattleites, and out-of-state buyers descended on Boise in droves, driving prices up at a pace that stunned locals and thrilled sellers. Homes that had been worth $250,000 suddenly sold for $500,000. Bidding wars became routine. Builders raced to keep up, and for a brief, shining moment, Boise felt like the promised land for anyone seeking space, affordability, and a slower pace of life. But 2025 has brought sobering reality. The boom turned to bust. Inventory surged. Days on market stretched into months. Price cuts are so common, buyers treat them as standard. What went wrong is textbook. The market was driven by out-of-state buyers, and when they stopped coming, the foundation crumbled. Remote work policies tightened. Companies mandated office returns. Meanwhile, Boise's local economy was never strong enough to support price levels the boom created. Local wages couldn't sustain $600,000 homes. The affordability that once defined Boise vanished. Developers built aggressively. Subdivisions sprawled across Meridian, Nampa, Eagle, and Kuna. Thousands of homes added in just a few years now sit largely unsold. Builders offer steep incentives, anything to move units. But even with deals, buyers are scarce. Sellers of existing homes are in worse position. They can't compete with new construction incentives and are stuck trying to offload homes bought at peak prices. Many are underwater. Others barely break even after commissions. The psychological toll is immense. Boise became a symbol of pandemic-era optimism. Now it's a symbol of what happens when hype outpaces reality. Sellers are angry, frustrated, increasingly desperate. They feel betrayed by a market that promised endless appreciation and delivered painful correction. Real estate agents manage near-constant crisis calls. But there's no magic bullet. The market is oversupplied, underdemanded, and unwinding in real time. Some sellers give up, pulling listings and deciding to wait. Investors are taking severe losses. Flips sit unsold for 6 months or more. Rentals aren't cash flowing. Many walk away, letting properties go into foreclosure. Number 3. Austin, Texas. Austin's transformation from quirky college town to tech hub was supposed to be the blueprint for modern American growth. Companies like Tesla, Oracle, and Apple poured billions into the city. Remote workers and venture capitalists followed, and for a few years it felt like Austin had cracked the code, blending culture, innovation, and affordability into something truly special. Housing prices soared, builders worked around the clock, and sellers reveled in a market where demand seemed infinite. But 2025 has delivered harsh humility. Austin's market has gone from red hot to ice cold. Sellers are caught in one of the most desperate situations in the country. Homes sit unsold for months. Listings pile up faster than buyers can absorb them. What killed Austin's momentum? The tech industry that built the boom became its biggest liability. Massive layoffs gutted the high-income buyer pool. Without that inflow of affluent buyers, Austin's market collapsed. Builders overshot demand by a staggering margin. Thousands of homes greenlit during the boom are finishing in a market that can't absorb them. Subdivisions in Pflugerville, Round Rock, and Leander are half empty. Spec homes sit unsold. Builders slash prices, making it impossible for existing home sellers to compete. Even in central Austin, neighborhoods that define the city's cool factor like East Austin and South Congress are struggling. Homes that would have sparked bidding wars sit with modest interest and lowball offers. Sellers are baffled, frustrated, increasingly desperate. They remember what the market felt like in 2021 and can't understand why it evaporated. But reality is simple. The market was built on unstable ground, and when the tech sector wobbled, everything built on it crashed down. Sellers who bought at peak are in an especially brutal position. Many paid $700,000, $800,000, expecting continued appreciation. Instead, appraisals come in $100,000 under what they owe. Selling means taking massive loss. Staying means bleeding money monthly. Real estate agents manage unprecedented seller panic. Clients call in tears asking what they should do. Answers are never easy. The market won't magically recover overnight. Many can't afford to wait. Investors who bet big on Austin are in retreat. Rentals sit vacant or rent for far less than projected. Flippers are stuck holding inventory they can't move. The Austin dream became a financial nightmare for thousands who believed the hype. Number 2. Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix was the Sun Belt's crown jewel, a sprawling desert metro that seemed to have limitless room to grow. For years, it absorbed migration like a sponge, pulling in retirees, remote workers, and families from across the country. Builders loved Phoenix because land was cheap and regulations were light. They could build fast, build big, and build profitably. Subdivisions stretched across the valley in every direction, from Mesa to Surprise, Chandler to Goodyear. The growth felt endless, and for a while the housing market kept pace beautifully. Homes sold quickly, prices climbed steadily, and sellers basked in a market where demand seemed guaranteed. But 2025 has turned Phoenix into a textbook case of oversupply meeting weakened demand, and the result is catastrophic. Inventory has exploded to levels not seen in over a decade. Homes sit for months with minimal interest. Price cuts are so aggressive some properties list for less than they sold for 3 years ago. Sellers are watching equity dissolve in real time. What went wrong? Phoenix built itself into a corner. Developers were so confident they kept building long past saturation. Entire communities finished in 2024 and 2025 now sit partially empty. The supply is staggering and demand just isn't there. Part of the problem is affordability. Phoenix was supposed to be the affordable California alternative, but prices rose so fast the advantage evaporated. Combine that with Arizona's brutal summers, rising utility costs, and water sustainability concerns, and the value proposition doesn't look compelling. Buyers who might have jumped at Phoenix are now hesitating. Interest rates dealt another crushing blow. Monthly payments that seemed manageable in 2021 are now out of reach for most middle-class families. First-time buyers have been priced out. Retirees who once flocked to the valley are more cautious, worried about healthcare costs and climate extremes. Sellers are trapped in a nightmare scenario. Those who bought during the boom are underwater or close to it. Those who built spec homes are bleeding cash. And everyone competes in a market where buyers have all the power. Lowball offers are routine. Deals fall through constantly. The psychological weight of watching a home sit unsold month after month is crushing. Real estate agents field near-daily meltdowns from sellers who can't understand why the market turned so violently. The answer is simple. Phoenix overbuilt, overpriced, and overestimated its appeal. Investors are retreating en masse. Rental properties sit vacant. Fix and flip projects are financial disasters. Many investors walk away, letting banks foreclose. Number 1, Las Vegas, Nevada. And here we are, the number 1 city where sellers are most desperate in 2025, Las Vegas. If Phoenix is a cautionary tale, Las Vegas is a full-blown disaster. This city, built on spectacle and risk, has always had volatile housing, but what's happening now is beyond anything seen since the 2008 crash. Homes sit unsold for 6 months, 9 months, some even longer. Price reductions of $50,000, $75,000, even $100,000 are becoming commonplace. Sellers who thought they'd struck gold during the pandemic boom now stare at losses that will take years to recover from. Las Vegas was always a gamble, and in 2025, sellers are learning they bet wrong. What makes Las Vegas the most desperate market in America? Start with the fact that the city's economy is built almost entirely on tourism and hospitality, industries that are notoriously unstable. When the economy wobbles, Vegas feels it first and hardest. Job growth has stalled. Wages haven't kept pace with housing costs, and the local population simply can't support price levels the pandemic boom created. But the real killer is oversupply on a scale that's hard to comprehend. Builders went absolutely wild in Las Vegas, convinced the California exodus would continue forever. They erected subdivisions across the entire metro. Thousands upon thousands of homes hit the market in just 2 years, and now that inventory sits like dead weight. Drive through any new development, and you'll see the same haunting scene. Street after street of finished homes, pristine and empty, for sale signs baking in the desert sun. Builders offer incentives so aggressive they border on desperation. 6 months of mortgage payments, $30,000 toward closing costs, free upgrades, rate buydowns. And even with all that, homes aren't moving. Sellers of existing homes are in even worse position. They can't compete with builder incentives. They can't drop prices low enough without taking catastrophic losses. And they're stuck in a market where buyers know they have all the leverage and are ruthless about using it. Lowball offers $100,000 under asking are standard. Deals collapse constantly. Many sellers are pulling listings, unable to stomach the financial and emotional toll. The psychological impact is devastating. Las Vegas sellers feel betrayed, angry, trapped. They bought into the promise that Vegas was the next big thing. Instead, they're watching their biggest asset lose value while mortgage payments don't pause and stress levels skyrocket. Real estate agents will tell you off the record that some sellers are on the verge of financial collapse. Foreclosures are ticking up. Short sales are becoming more common. The sense of panic is spreading like wildfire. Investors are in full retreat. The short-term rental market that seemed like a gold mine has collapsed under oversupply and tightening regulations. Occupancy rates plummeted. Rental income cratered. Investors who leveraged themselves to the hilt now bleed cash with no end in sight. Many dump properties at fire sale prices just to stop the hemorrhaging. Las Vegas in 2025 is the ultimate example of what happens when speculation, oversupply, and economic reality collide in the worst possible way. The city built too much, too fast, based on assumptions that didn't hold. And now sellers are paying the price, trapped in a market that shows no signs of recovering. For anyone watching the housing market, Las Vegas is the canary in the coal mine. So there you have it. 10 cities where sellers are absolutely desperate in 2025, from Charlotte's overbuilt suburbs to Las Vegas's catastrophic collapse. These markets tell the same story: optimism that outran reality, supply that crushed demand, and sellers now paying the price for believing the boom would last forever. If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the biggest shifts shaping American real estate. Drop a comment below and let us know. Are you seeing this desperation in your local market? Or is your city still holding strong? And if you're thinking about buying or selling in 2025, make sure you understand what you're walking into, because as these 10 cities prove, the market doesn't care about your plans. It only cares about supply, demand, and the cold hard math of what buyers are actually willing to pay. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.